All right, so today we are really diving deep
Deep.
into GTA Seeds.
Hmm.
This game, it feels like everyone and their grandma is talking about it.
It's huge.
There are so many articles already.
I know, right?
And you're listening because you want to know if it's really going to be more than just another game.
And you're right to ask that. Honestly, this isn't just a game launch. It feels more like a cultural and economic earthquake about to hit.
Okay, so first things first, the hype.
Oh.
We're talking record-breaking trailer views.
Yeah.
A decade of people waiting for this.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And not to mention how much money GTA V made.
Oh, yeah.
Billions with a B.
It's crazy.
So is GTA V really going to be that groundbreaking?
Well, it's not just hype. The thing about GTA is that they've always pushed the boundaries. You look back at GTA 3, that changed everything with its 3D open world. Every game since has been trying to catch up. But GTA VI, this one's different. People are saying it will have a dynamic world where your choices actually matter. Like, imagine a living, breathing world that remembers what you did.
Now, that is different.
Right.
And it seems like all the money people are freaking out, too.
Yeah.
Some people are saying it could make $1 billion
Yeah, $1 billion.
in its first week
That's what they're saying.
from just one game.
It's insane, right? But here's the thing. It's not just about the sales. Think about it like this GTA VI is a massive rock being thrown into a pond.
Okay.
The ripples, those are the waves it's making throughout the entire gaming industry. Every other company is watching to see what Rockstar does and Take-Two, their parent company.
Right.
Their stock is already going crazy. Analysts are predicting insane profits, and investors want a piece of that.
They always do.
They do.
And speaking of things that people are excited about, the game is supposed to look incredible, like almost lifelike.
I've seen the trailers.
So can you break down for us what's changing with the technology this time around?
Imagine starting a game and feeling like you're stepping into a movie. That's the kind of realism GTA VI is going for. And it's not just about the graphics either. We're talking about massive advancements in AI. Think about it. Characters that actually remember how you treated them before. Characters that change how they react to you based on how you've played the game.
Okay.
It's crazy.
That is next level. And speaking of characters, for the first time ever in a GTA game, our main character is a woman. We're going to get into that right after a quick break.
So we were talking about GTA ZI and its new main character, Lucia.
Which is a big deal because this is a series that has had its fair share of controversy over the years about how it portrays women.
It's definitely a big change.
It is.
I mean, for years, GTA has faced so much criticism about the way they portray female characters.
Yeah.
Like, they're often stereotypical or even exploitative. But this time they have a female lead, and from what I've heard, she's supposed to be a really complex character.
Yeah.
So this could be a really big turning point for the series,
Yeah.
It seems like Rockstar's acknowledging that they needed to make a change.
Right.
It'll be really interesting to see how they handle her story.
And on top of that, we're also getting a brand new setting.
A new city.
Yeah. No more Los Santos this time.
Yeah.
Instead, we're going to Vice City Rockstar's version of Miami.
Right, Vice City.
So what do you think about that choice? What kind of things do you think they'll be able to say about society by setting the game there?
Well, I mean, think about Florida.
It's pretty wild.
It's like a caricature of itself already. You've got this insane gap between the rich and the poor. There's tons of crime. And you know those crazy news headlines you see sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
That's like the perfect setting for a GTA game. It lets them make fun of all of that stuff in a way they couldn't with Los Santos.
That's true. But GTA has always kind of walked this line between making fun of things
Yeah.
and just being over the top.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you think GTA VI can really make meaningful points about society?
Right.
Or is there a risk that it all just comes across as kind of shallow?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, GTA has always sparked this debate because on the one hand, it can be really smart and satirical.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's a game where you can go on crazy rampages and cause tons of chaos. So I think it really comes down to the writing.
Okay.
Like, how nuanced is it? And how much freedom do players have to actually make choices that matter?
Right.
If they can nail those things, then maybe it can have its cake and eat it too.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
And speaking of a lot to think about, let's talk about the potential downsides of a game this big. Because everyone's saying it's going to be huge.
It will be.
But could that actually be bad for the video game industry? So before the break, we were talking about the potential downsides of a game as massive as GTA VI could be.
Right, like what happens if it's too big?
Yeah. Could it actually be bad for gaming if it's too successful?
It's a worry for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. A game like this, with how much money they're pouring into it, it's gonna make bank.
Oh,
It's almost guaranteed. And when that happens, it's kind of like everything else gets pulled in.
what do you mean?
While other studios, especially the ones owned by these big publishers, they're all going to be looking at GTA VI.
Right, trying to figure out how to replicate that.
Exactly. They see a game making billions, and suddenly those smaller, weirder games start to seem like a much bigger risk.
You're saying that a game as big as GTA VI could actually stifle creativity.
Yeah, kinda. Like when investors see a sure thing, they don't want to try anything new.
That makes sense.
Right. So yeah, maybe we'll still get some innovative games. But they might not get the same kind of push.
It's interesting to think about because I love a good open world game, but I don't want every game to be like that.
Totally.
Hmm.
And it's not just about what kind of games get made either. It's also about who gets to make them.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Can a small studio with like a dozen people really compete with a company like Rockstar?
Probably not. They don't have the resources.
Exactly. It's a whole different ball game.
So it's like this double-edged sword.
Right.
On the one hand, GTA VI is going to be amazing,
Right.
but on the other hand, it's casting a pretty big shadow
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to talk about this stuff now.
before the game even comes out.
Exactly. We need to really think about what a game like this means, not just for games, but for everything.
It's crazy that a game could have that kind of impact.
I know, right?
Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. But as we get closer to this massive launch, we really want you to think about this. What kind of future do you want for video games? Do we want a few big budget games every year? Or should there be space for smaller, more creative projects too?
That's a big question.
It is, and the answer is really up to all of us, both the people making games and the people playing them.
I like that.
So until next time, happy gaming, everyone.